We've all had that feeling, right, of wanting to be able to, as soon as we meet somebody, just hit it off straight away and completely woo them, basically, make them obsessed with you. And this is gonna be a very controversial strategy, and some controversial techniques will be mentioned. So I've also got a bonus tip at the end of the video as well, so stick around for that. This is my personal strategy that has been tested and tried, and it worked very, very efficiently, too well as well. It worked too well. It actually freaked me out when I did this. So I'm just gonna get straight into it. So the first step, right? The first step is your mental state. So what I mean by this is your mental state entering this interaction with this stranger, right? You can basically what you have to do, you have to be able to tell yourself that you've known this person for X amount of time, for a really long time, and you know you're really excited to talk to them again, like type thing. Basically just putting a lot of care and passion into this conversation, you know, as if this is your best friend, or as if this is an old friend that you're catching up with. So that's the mental state you have to induce in yourself. And to do this, right, I'm not going to leave you hanging. To do this, the technique I use is, it's like it's a self-eliciting emotions within yourself. So in our heads, right, we always get what we expect. So whatever we're expecting in our heads, let's say you're not really good with socially interacting with people. So in your head, you're thinking, oh, I'm gonna enter this conversation, I'm gonna be a bit nervous, or they might not like me, this, and the other. Whatever you're envisioning in your head that's negative, turn it black and white and shrink that scene into a very, very, very small, something that you can just hold in your hand, something very small. Right, then keep that on the side. Now imagine how you would ideally want to be like in that interaction. So this has to be quick. It doesn't have to be quick, to be honest, but I know, like, if you tend to like wait longer to approach any situation, you're gonna overthink. You're giving yourself time to overthink. So I mean, with practice, you'll be able to do this very quickly. The image will kind of flash across like that, and you'll be able to induce that emotional state very quickly. What helps me as well is my posture. Make sure you're sitting up straight, breathing deep, just not being slouched over, because your posture kind of determines what your brain thinks your body's feeling, basically. So imagine a scene that you really, really, that it's like, this is the best version of you. This is your highest self. This is the version of you that has everything he wants and is having fun doing what he's doing, talking to people, whatever. Imagine that, enlarge it, make sure it's big, way, way big. Make sure it's bright and vivid. And that should be enough to incur the emotional state. Now, second thing is something called mirroring. So this is how you build that kind of connection between you and this person, this stranger. This also works on like friends too, by the way. Like, if you want to at least change the way they feel about you, this can work with friends. Like, let's say also with like people that you know that don't like you. You know, this is how you get them to at least respect you, at the very least. Although to be fair, I did do this with friends at first, that I knew I didn't like them. And then I tried this with stranger, and wow, it worked. It actually worked so well. It worked so well. So the second technique is mirroring, right? Basically, every 5 seconds, this person changes position. Just make sure you're in the exact same position as well. Or let's say you're walking together, same pace. Sometimes you can do this unconsciously and naturally if you're really in the moment. However, if you notice that, it's kind of awkward, maybe it's feeling like an interview, or you're just not feeling that connectedness with this person, or you feel like they're not feeling that anticipation to get to know what is in your head, then you should be conscious of this. It's good to really, really practice this, because you want this to be kind of like a third sense, if that makes sense. And you just want this to be, you want to practice this so that you can be more aware, and it won't take as much effort to be aware. It's just kind of like, oh, you just notice this straight away, kind of psychic. So let's say you're sitting down as well. This is the every 5 second thing, right? Just so they don't really notice that you're doing it. And don't be afraid of getting caught. Don't be afraid of getting caught with any of these techniques. Don't be afraid of getting caught. And then the last step is anchoring. I feel like I can use this very easily. I have used this very easily. And with the bonus at the end, I don't really use this bonus technique, sorry. Just because it takes a lot of mental power to just be thinking about it mid-conversation, if that makes sense. So what you want to do with this third step, which is called anchoring, right? Anchoring. You want to provoke an emotional state within the other person too. So to do this, you ideally want to either ask them a question that will get them to explain, let's say, explain a time where you felt passion, or when was the last time you felt connected with someone, you fell in love, anger, whatever you want to induce in that person, right? Get them to describe that. And as they're describing it, they'll be feeling that too, right? They'll be feeling it within themselves. And hopefully they're looking in your eyes, looking straight at you. And that will be an anchor in itself. Just you, just them looking at you. Even if you ask them to describe something funny, or if you tell them a funny story, you'll be able to anchor that emotion to yourself. And the bonus technique to this is using hand gestures as the anchoring. So let's say you're describing a time you felt connected with someone, and this is also another bonus technique. So it's to kind of slip in commands within your story. So if I could give you an example, saying stuff like, oh, when you feel this, yeah, when I felt that, I didn't, or describing it in very much detail that it's enough for them to feel it. And make sure you can see that they're feeling this emotion too. You have to be very, very aware to notice these subtle changes within the person, especially if you don't know them. So by the time you see that they're induced, you use a hand gesture. Let's say we're talking about being connected. I make this hand gesture. That hand gesture will be an anchor. So whenever I do this within the conversation at any point, they'll be feeling it too. or you can touch them somewhere. Yeah, those are the three anchors that I can think of. But I don't really use the hand gestures. I just kind of talk. Like, it's effective, whichever one you use. And yeah, those are the 3 steps. This is the strategy I use. All these are separately are techniques that can be used within any realm or within any other strategy, any order, or used singularly for whatever you so choose to do. I hope you found any of these techniques useful, or the strategy useful as well. One last bonus. This is just a personal trait that I've picked up or been training myself to do, is to withhold and confuse information. So this is more leaning into like the whole psychological warfare, maybe dark psychology, I don't trust anyone kind of side of things. My reasons for being like this is just, I realize the more information you kind of give out, the more leverage the other person has. So withholding information gives you the upper hand at the end of the day. The more you can get them to reveal, the more power you have. You know, the more you know, the higher you can think, the higher planes you can think to mentally outdo the other person or mentally control the other person. So you want to be able to not say everything, and at least if you're sharing a lot, to make sure that you kind of leave things out, fabricate some things, or just fabricate a complete lie, bro. Fabricate a complete lie. And that's just one bonus tip I could add. That's not a necessity, however, that's just me personally. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you also use this for your own greater good. And yeah, keep working on yourself mentally, innit? And make sure you've got your convictions straight. The world is run by convictions. Convictions are everything. Stay blessed.